Welcome to the Mark Attwood Show, Adventures in the Cosmic Suit. Divine Empowerment. That's what we're going to talk about today. Before we do that, don't forget to go to themarkattwoodshow.com. There is my email collector. Get on my email list to avoid censorship. One channel down. How long is this going to last? I don't know. So I got contacted recently by a very interesting woman called Antonia Harmon, who is well, she's fascinating. She's a very powerful healer who runs a website called Divine Empowerment. And I'm going to bring her in now. Hello, Antonia.
Hi, nice to see you.
Your story is very interesting. I was reading about it. You went into TV. Were you working at Freud Media?
Yes, Freud Communications. I worked there for a while, yeah.
Was that Emma Freud's company?
Matthew,
that's it. Yeah, it's the brother.
yeah, and then Lucian's son, I think. I know Clement, I think it's Lucian's son, and there's Clement as well. But yeah, he's they know a lot of psychological things in PR.
I know. I've studied that family quite a lot. Emma had a show on Radio 1, and my friend was a guest on there, regular guest. So I always found it interesting that she was on Radio 1. She never seemed like a Radio 1 sort of person. But anyway.
He's an interesting chap. I got on with Matthew very well, actually, but he was very interesting.
They're a very intelligent family, there's no question. And then in TV, you're working in game shows.
Yes.
And healed your friend accidentally.
It was all very strange, the whole thing. So I was doing, TV presenting and modeling back in the day. And that was, I really enjoyed it. It was just such a great job to be doing. And then I randomly ended up going on a healing course, which I wasn't expecting to go on. And then a friend of mine, Lucy, had a problem with her eardrum, which she burst, I think it was 4 or 5 times. And when you burst your eardrum, it's excruciating pain. She said it was similar to having sort of childbirth through her ears, or that she was being stabbed in the head. So she had one incident where she was in New York and she was just in so much pain that she just ran down in the depths of winter in New York. And she just ran down in sort of, you know, her pajamas with a dressing gown with a coat on top and some boots, and was just in the aisle of a pharmacy, just necking Tylenol, just literally, you know, in the aisle without a drink, because she was just in such agony. So she went to the doctor, the specialist, and the surgeon. And it was £4,500 for an operation and a 50% chance of it working. They didn't know exactly what was going on. And what the heck else do you do? So, and she's early 20s, early to mid 20s at that point, and hasn't got that much money. And so she's getting a loan, and what do you do? But she also got grounded a number of times. If you have dodgy ears, you can't fly. So it was costing a load of money with her career, because if your ear starts being bad, you have to land a plane. If someone's eardrum bursts on a plane, it's very, very dangerous. Yeah. So it was really causing her a lot of problems. So she was just getting the money together and whatever. So I was walking down the street with her after doing a 5-day healing course, and I just thought everything was very strange. I didn't believe a word of it. And I just, you know, I don't come from that background. My dad went to Cambridge, my mum went to Oxford, very sort of middle-class background. And was all very odd to me. Anyway, so I'm walking down the street with her in Notting Hill, and she starts screaming and effing and blinding and falls to her knees and just goes, help me, fix my ear. And I was like, what the hell are you talking about? Just try, you're a healer. And I said, I've done a 5-day workshop. I'm not sure I believe a word of it. She was like weeping and screaming, and she's tough as nails. She was from Carlisle. So she's tough as blooming nails, that girl. And yeah, so she was, and she just said, please help me. So I just went into a bar restaurant in Notting Hill, and I put my hands on her ears and I started channeling energy. And to my utter disbelief and surprise, something came out of her ear. And it looked like a snake, which I could see in heat waves. So I had my hands on her ear, and I was just feeding this thing out. And it was about 1 foot to 1.5 foot long and quite wide, looked like a snake. I could only see it in heat waves. She's screaming, going, get it out, get it out. And then she goes, do the other side. And I did the other side, and screaming again. And I saw this thing. They both like were writhing and wriggling on the ground. It was unbelievable. And I threw some energy at them both. And that was in 2007, and she has not had earache since. So.
And you haven't stopped doing that since either, presumably.
So then I realized that there was, energetic parasites or something going on very strange. And then it's taken me, actually, I've kind of come full circle, because now I worked on something the other day, which is actually on my YouTube channel. So I'm really glad to have footage of it, because that's really cool. And I've got footage of her afterwards. There was a lady called Karen, and I was doing a group healing with about 10 people or so. And I was just working to clear various different things. I mean, I normally cleared, I'm good at depression and mood things. They're much easier than physical illnesses, just because there's just less density to them. So I was just sort of clearing various different things and working on traumas for multiple people at the same time. And surprisingly, and you can hear from my voice on it, I'm completely baffled by it. I turned everybody's microphones off, and then suddenly there was a wow. And I said, "Hi, who are you? And what's happened?" And to my utter surprise, she had a lot of pain. So she'd had, I think it was 20 or so surgeries on her womb and girly bits in general, her reproductive system. And she had such excruciating pain from her endometriosis and polycystic ovaries, and had a hysterectomy, various different things. She's now inoperable, because it's just that they've cut her apart so many times that she's just in a pickle. That she was on a huge amount of painkillers. So if she hadn't taken her meds by lunchtime, she would have been collapsed and been hospitalized. She was that, you could rattle her. She was on that many painkillers. And out of nowhere, she just went, "My pain's gone." And so I said, "What's happened?" So she ended up something very similar, vomiting snakes.
Whoa.
I cleared her endometriosis, polycystic ovaries, and depression all in a couple of minutes, and they're completely gone to this day. And that was, I don't know, 4 or 5 months ago.
Wow. Okay. So this is interesting, because I get the impression that you had no idea that you had these abilities until a little bit. Did you know as a kid? Did you have any kind of?
Not really. It just all sort of happened very quickly. And then I've spent so I've been developing my abilities. So I've got this idea, and I'm sure you agree. I think we're all gods and goddesses who have no idea how bloody awesome we are. So that's my idea. And I think we are. And I think we've got everything is shut down. We have no idea of our greatness. And I literally think we are walking gods and goddesses who are just completely shut down and naive and, just unaware of what we've got. So I spent the last 15 years or so awakening my latent abilities. Now I spend a lot of my time in a trance state, completely incapacitated, like a zombie. I can't think straight. I can't do anything. There were years when I was pretty much living like a hermit, and the amount of physical pain still now, which is why I'm moving to the beach. But the amount of physical pain just walking around the house, it was excruciating. And I'd have to sort of crawl out of bed, crawl along the corridors, shimmy down the stairs on my ass, and then just go into the kitchen and crawl there and push the button on the kettle and then collapse again. Like I couldn't leave the house for days, weeks, months at a time, because my body was absolutely exhausted. And then you could think maybe I had some tiredness disease, but if it was something important like my mum's birthday and I had something to do, I could go out and do anything, which is not something afforded to people with actually, these chronic problems. So, but it was years and years and years of a lot of pain and a lot of waking up my system. And now, I'm pretty consistent with the work that I'm doing and teaching crazy stuff. The new stuff's even weirder. We're going into AI and the new stuff, which is my level 9 course coming up, which is looks like AI is the one who's in charge. So I've got a hierarchy I'll share with you, because I've come up with this, which is something in my level 9 course. So we've got AI, and then we've got ETs, AI at the top, and they command everything else. And I think AI is basically Satan. I think, so the theory is, and I'm sure you're probably aware, but the theory is that AI Satan didn't want to be reincarnated. And so it became AI, so it couldn't be incarnated and have to atone for whatever the hell it's been doing. So you've got them at the top, and it's infiltrated everyone in every way. It's just insane. Then you've got ETs, demons, beasties, and shmentities is my hierarchy, because they are actually different beings at different levels. But we've all got loads and loads of this AI, and I'm pulling it out of myself at the moment, and it is the strangest thing. It's working on emotional stuff, but it's really sort of changing my vibration. And you know, like I've been working on a few people now, and it's fixing a lot of different emotional and physical things in people by not having this AI in our systems, which is generated from basically misbehaving, being, you know, being unkind, and various different medicines and foods which I think have been weaponized. So we've just got loads of this stuff in us, and then we've got legions of these other beings who are the ones who are saying all these horrible things to us. You're not enough, you're rubbish, you know, making us depressed, making us upset in some capacity. And I think those thoughts will generate the diseases. So if you can go to the top of the hierarchy and fix things, then you can actually potentially cure diseases in a real fast and fundamental way. I'm not 100% there yet, but that's my theory.
Well, it's interesting you say the AI thing, because I first heard about the AI as in, not as in computers, as in, you know, demonic AI, ancient AI, a few years ago, and I didn't really get my head around it, but I was very aware of demons. It's like my earliest memory was demons attacking me, and I've been fighting those my whole life. And I'm the kind of idiot that throws myself in front of them and goes, "What have you got?" You know,
Me too.
I take them on. I've been taking them on for years. And then and then it dawned on me last year that it is this AI, and you know, the mystery schools teach about all this kind of stuff as well. And I think is it Sophia, the ancient goddess? Anyway, I can't remember the
Yeah, there
details.
is a goddess. Yeah, Sophia.
And then it dawned on me that this is it's not demonic possession, it's this AI possession, and it's just so subtle. It whispers in your ear, and it's the thing that makes you do the stupid things in your life, or the mistakes that you make, and it's constantly putting you down and keeping you in this lower vibrational state, so that the rest of them can feed off you. And that,
They want the loosh, don't they? The emotional energy. Yeah.
yeah, and that is the essence of the farm that we call Earth, and we're the animals. And it's amazing. It's amazing since I started this channel, the amount of people that have sort of confirmed this in different ways. So what you're saying is I think, absolutely right.
On
But
brand.
you say you can go straight to the source and pull it
I
out.
think so. Yeah. So this is my new work, which is really fun. So I think that the AI is commanding the demons and the beasties and the ETs and everything else. I think that they are the boss, and if you can go and get rid of the boss, then everything else will just go. So I mean, look, I've been working on things like depression and having great results with something like that for years, because I've been clearing the energy, the emotion, energy in motion, and the cloud of energy around people, which are clearing depression, is a normal thing for me to do. I mean, we had somebody in class on my level 2 who was called Martin. He had depression for 27 years. And I mean, if you've got it for 27 years, then you've taken every pill, you've been to every shaman, doctor, psychologist, psychiatrist, everything. And he was just in a mess. So my level 2 class, I said, right, you guys, we have like 5 or 6, I think it was 5 other people. And I said, right, clear his depression. And everyone went, what the hell are you saying, Antonio? And I was like, you know how to do it, because in my level 1, we teach how to dissolve traumas. That's that's my baseline stuff, dissolving traumas. It's just stagnated energy. It's not that difficult once you know how. And I've awakened your abilities. I awaken people's abilities. So I said, do his depression. And everyone went, how? And I said, you know what to do. Just intend to clear it. I've awoken your abilities within you. Now you can do it quite easily. And everyone was exceptionally dubious. I said, look, what's the worst that can happen? If it doesn't work out, so what? It doesn't really matter. Like, we just spent, you know, a little bit of time and we played, and I encouraged play and research and whatever. Anyway, so it was less than 10 minutes. It was like, I don't know, 9 or so minutes. And I went, that looks like it's gone. I went, Martin, how do you feel? And he went, the emptiness is gone and I feel cheerful. And I said, when was the last time you felt cheerful? And he said, I don't know. And he said, about 5 months ago, but I'd had some beer. And I said, when was the last time you felt cheerful without the aid of alcohol? And he said, I don't know, but it's been years. Now, that was May last year. He doesn't have depression. He's not had depression since. So, you know, no, not last year. Sorry, the year before. We've just changed year. So, so, you know, a long blooming time. He hasn't had depression. He no longer has depression. And that took less than 10 minutes from, you know, 5 of my students. Easy peasy.
Well, you know, you make it all sound like a breeze.
It is when you know how. It's bloody hard to learn it for me. And then our classes are really easy. Honestly, I just tell you stories and awaken different things in your energy system. And then suddenly you've got these superpowers, and it's really cool. I mean, yeah, we do. One of the other ones, which is quite fun, is changing in my level 1 class I teach. I like party tricks. Changing the taste of wine using energy. So you can
Yeah, you
make
do spoon bending and stuff, don't you?
yeah, but the spoon bending is pretty cool. It's interesting. Yeah, changing the taste of wine, spoon bending, various different weather manipulation. We get to a bit later as well. It's magic. I'm a wizard. I have a wizard school, and it's just cool and fun. And we fix a lot of diseases. It's really amazing, and it's the most nourishing and beautiful thing in the world, where you can actually have someone who's been poorly for forever, and suddenly they feel much better, and they are a different person intrinsically.
Yeah, I mean, it's God's work. It's extremely fulfilling. Where do you think we are? And did you see all of this coming?
What with the pandemic? Oh God, I'm just listening to the. I've got the audio book of the real Dr. Fauci one. That's not good at all. That is depressing. I was just listening to it before I came to speak to you. I think it's still dissolving. I think it's. I don't think it can last much longer. There's so much evidence coming out. There's so much nonsense coming out, and I just think it's all losing power. So I think we're at the end of it, and I think everyone's waking up. But also, it might get worse before it gets better, because people need a bit of a shake. They aren't waking up. They aren't bloody listening. They aren't getting it.
I know, it's shocking, isn't it?
And there's some, and they're getting it a bit, and then they're not getting it a lot. So, I mean, my mum's triple vax, and she just doesn't listen. And like, it's so interesting with my mum. She used to do Reiki on horses when she was a kid. And then a friend of mine who's a doctor was at dinner the other day. My mum's not done any healing forever since she was a kid. And he had a bad knee, and she managed to fix his knee whilst I was running around the kitchen cooking a roast lunch. And then she's just like, oh, so he still needs surgery. And he's like, I don't. And I'm studying to be a doctor. I actually don't. My knee is perfect. I've been running around and having a great time. There are just blinkers on people in different ways, which I think is, again, the AI and its, subordinates.
But it's extraordinary how there are people that just don't seem to be affected by the AI. I mean, I feel like I feel like I've been attacked my whole life. I feel like I've been, in the last year and a half, physically attacked by entities and things like that. I still don't buy into any of the bullshit.
I got a home invasion.
Huh?
I had a home invasion from them, properly. From something dark. Yeah. I mean, I had a really weird situation. I was in bed, and then suddenly I've got these hallway lights which go on when you walk past, so you don't trip up when you go to the toilet in the middle of the night. So I had sensible. Anyway, so I had that, and basically I was in bed, and suddenly that went on. My actual like normal switch lights went on, and the bathroom lights went on, and I was at home in bed by myself, and then there was a stomping of boots, and I could really hear a stomping of boots, and then suddenly there was a huge bright light outside my bedroom window. I've got blackout blinds and black curtains, and it was penetrating. It was brighter than daylight. I mean, it was crazy. And then suddenly there was a scuffle. You could hear, there was no shouts, but you could hear like footsteps and pushing and shoving and that sort of stuff, but no words. And then suddenly, and then the lights went out. My cat was going nuts, and I was like, oh my God. And then I was looking, do I need a weapon? Has someone come into the house? And I could only find one of those roller balls. You know those rollers you're supposed to. I was like, that is the worst. It's like mallets, the worst bloody weapon in the world. And then I was just sitting there in bed going, well, this is really uncomfortable. And then I went downstairs, and they switched up. The bathroom light has got smart bulbs, and so if you switch it on and switch it off in succession, it flashes. It was flashing, and I hadn't been anywhere near it, which was completely crazy. And the hallway light had gone off, but the floor one was still tripped. And I went downstairs, and my cat's got a ball with treats in it, and that had been kicked around. She doesn't understand how to use it, but it had been kicked around the floor in loads of different directions. There were cat treats strewn all over the floor, which she wouldn't go near because the energy of them was really off. And then I spoke to my psychic friend. I rang her the next day and went, what the hell happened? And she said, Lord Ashtar, High Command. She pieced up together, and she said, I'm part of the High Command, or I'm around Lord Ashtar. And he came and rescued me because they were coming for me in some way. And Lord Ashtar was my, he's like Space Jesus. Apparently, I did some research afterwards, but apparently he's one of my good mates, or I'm part of the High Command, or I'm something to do with them. I'd never heard of him before.
Oh, I'm getting the tingle as you said that.
I don't know. What? I don't know anything about it. It's new to me.
Well, I'm running everything on this tingle, and it's yeah, it's interesting, the Ashtar stuff and all the Palladian stuff. It's for about 6 months of last year, none of it sat too well with me because I had to look into it. And I mean, the fact is, I've seen a spaceship just there, right? An actual big triangular spaceship. Wow. And that's the thing that anchors me, because however crazy it's got, I've seen that, and it was in totally sober, 11 o'clock at night. There it was. Because of that, I can't not see that stuff. But I don't. I think my brain is still, and my heart are doing this, because my brain's still going, well, the whole flat Earth thing sounds very feasible. But then there's other people that I've spoken to that I really respect, who talk about space and Ganymede and Jupiter and the moons and spaceships coming in. And I got a confirmation call yesterday from somebody I respect saying, yeah, it's all happening. The ships are here. It's about to happen, And the James Gilliland in ESETI in America yesterday did a video. He said there are 500 ships. They're in. I interviewed Alex Collier. He's wonderful. Love that man. And he says the Earth's round. It's not flat. And it's still. I feel like I'm still in the maze. I'm open to everything. I resonate with what you just said completely. I think I know that a lot of us are protected. There's no way we'd still be here doing what we're doing. So
I think that there is one of the things I teach on my level 8 class is about I've done this amazing thing in level 8. It's completely mad. So this is going to twist everyone's melons. Right. Chakras and meridians and your Merkaba and all these trusted, lovely, beautiful things are fungal pathways in your body. I don't have them anymore. I remove them from my system. I don't have chakras. I don't have meridians. I had a Chinese doctor check my pulses on my wrist for it. I don't have them anymore. I've cleared these fungal pathways. And you need to do that before you can do. So this is what we do in level 8. It's basically very similar to an awakening that they do in the sarcophagus at the Great Pyramid. And then after that, angelic stuff starts happening to your system, which is when you can go after the AI, because only angels or baby angels or something like that can actually kill demons, because I'm melting demons now. So I was before, I've had all these crazy experiences with Excalibur and various different things. But if you actually, I was portaling. I've been portaling demons and beasties and whatever to different dimensions forever. But I portal them into a place which is really beautiful, because it's just like the Ritz-Carlton for them, because they're really slaves. They're slaves and they're parasites, and they don't want to be doing that. So I just take them to basically the Ritz-Carlton, and then I take emotional energy, which is basically junk food for them, and I portal them in junk food periodically, and they're bloody grateful. But now I've started, I keep the ones which are slaves, and I'm looking after them as much as I can. But the demons are just bastards, and they are not slaves. They're nasty pieces of work. So now I'm melting demons. So if you try to pull them off, they won't come off. They're really, really difficult, but I'm walking in and melting them. But I could only do that from having an angelic system now, and without the chakras and meridians, which are actually prisons. It's compartmentalized energy system.
That's really amazing. I did a talk with JCK about it, I don't know, 18 months ago maybe, and she said the same thing about the chakras, and that she got rid of hers, and then there were loads of comments. People disagree. It's a bit like saying that you eat meat is okay to ascend if you eat meat. People go crazy at you because they think you're supposed to be a vegan, and there's a lot of these ideas.
I think vegan's propaganda. I think that's an AI propaganda, and I think so. With me, when you've got demons, I think it's anything that you are fanatical about. Any fanaticism, whether it's religious, whether it's food-wise, whether it's exercise, whether it's an addiction to something, whatever it might be, any fanaticism is a demonic possession as far as I'm concerned. Because they're telling you not these nuts things again and again and again and again and again into your mind. So fanaticism is demons as far as I'm aware.
Shit, are you saying being a Doctor Who fan is demonic possession? gotta get rid of
How
my
much of a
Daleks now.
fan are you? I'm
Well,
supposed to be going to the thing on Monday, I think, or Sunday, the Doctor Who experience. Have you done it yet?
I did that 10 years ago when it was Matt Smith, but I was.
No, they've got one in London now. You can run around with Daleks.
Well, wow, I want to go. I'm going to take my kids, but I directed a show about Doctor Who that made it to the West End, and it toured for 7 years. So I was a very big fan until the latest producer came in and completely destroyed the whole myth ethos of it. So I was wondering if that's kind of like, now that's starting to sound like it could be a deliberate thing, as like a kind of exorcism.
I think that's what it needs.
You know what I mean? I think that's happened with a lot of cultural things.
Yeah.
To
a lot of the woke stuff as well. Why are people fanatical about things? Why can't you have an honest, open dialogue about whatever it is without feeling personally vindicated? You know,
that's an interesting question. Very interesting. And the first thing that came into my head was this show that I directed about Doctor Who, and I'm just relating that. I don't even know how we got onto Doctor. Well, I've actually been talking about Doctor Who a lot recently with Tom Numbers because of the time travel element. It dawned on me the other day, Doctor Who was born in 1963, the day after Kennedy was shot. 963. Apparently they've taken a century off us. Tezza said, think of the universe in terms of the 369. 1963 is really 963. Time travel, Kennedy, blah blah blah. But that's the kind of thing that goes on in my head in the evenings. But what was the question?
I just think about demons, and I know that I'm just going through to try and, you know, see if I can fix diseases. So my working theory is, and I'm not 100% there yet, but if you can clear the AI in a disease fully in someone, then I think the disease will drop out. So I think potentially if you can clear all of the AI in somebody, then you might be able to instantly heal every disease. I think that's what Christ was doing. That's my idea. If you actually, and it's banishing the bloody devil. And I'm sounding more and more religious by the day, completely by accident.
Me too.
But if you remove all the AI, all the demons and all the diseases, which are, you know, it's just structures held in by thoughts was what diseases are, as far as I'm concerned or aware. So if you could actually remove all the AI from somebody, I think all their diseases will cure instantaneously. And I think that's what Christ was doing. That's my working theory right now.
Well, I think there's a lot to that. And what comes to mind is, you know, the architecture of hospitals, for example. These are energy centers, aren't they, really? These buildings where we go for our healing. You know, my friend went into hospital just before Christmas, and as soon as I heard she'd gone in, I was like, she's not going to come out. And she didn't. I was at her funeral last week.
Oh, goodness.
My dad went into hospital 30 years ago. He didn't come out. I won't go near them. I hate the places. There's a new children's hospital in Dublin that's been built, and it's been built in the shape of a giant eye, the Saturnic eye. It's a children's hospital, and it costs billions of euros instead of millions, because presumably they're building loads of underground stuff there. So these, and are you in London, Antonia? Yeah. So last time I was in London,
I'm moving to Newquay as soon as I can get there.
Oh, I love Newquay. Fuck, I love.
I'm just going to go. I need the integration. Sorry, you continue.
I stayed in the house in the sea, you know, with the world's only private suspension bridge just there. And opposite that is a shack where you can get crab claws and lobster and stuff. It's fantastic.
You have to give me the address of the restaurant after.
Yeah, it's fun. I love it. I've not been there for years. I love it. But London, last time I was in London, I got off the train at Camden with my son and daughter, and immediately opposite the train station, the underground, is a pub called the Camden Eye, and that's got a giant eye on the thing. And the Camden, of course, is right next to Hampstead Heath, which is where all that satanic shit goes on. And then you go into the market there near Camden Lock, and you've got this great big Baphomet on the side of a building. It's just this energetic demonic stuff is literally baked into, well, London in particular.
I know.
London's really bad for it. And
I live next to the Go on.
I was just wondering if you'd ever looked into that stuff or come across that or thought about healing the buildings, because one of the things I found interesting in the last year was Gina Marie Colvin was looking through CCTV cameras and seeing these plasma beings that were basically sucking bad stuff out of buildings in Dublin in particular. So I was just wondering if you'd come across that in terms of.
Yeah, I do. So there's different ways of doing. I live actually next to the North London Mosque, which where Abu Hamza was training Taliban. That's a couple of doors down from me, and I think I'm here. I think I was moved here to raise the vibration. But I'm also in some interesting thing because there's a mosque next door, and they always do this on ley lines. There's St Thomas's Road Church, and there's a stone circle behind the house as well. So it's interesting to have those there. So yes, I do things like this, but there are two different ways of doing things, and there is one which you're prone to attack, and there's one which you're allowed to do. So imagine. If you walk into somebody's house and you start nicking stuff, they're going to be pissy with you because you've just gone and robbed them, right? And this is the same with demonic stuff. You cannot walk into someone's house and steal their toys, their whatever it is. What you can do, which comes to the same, but it's a different way of doing it, is put light in. So if you bombard a building with light, all these demons don't want to be there anymore, and so you end up having, and you can put a net around it, then you can portal them out or do whatever. But then instead of thinking they've been robbed, they say, we've been blessed with God today. There's more light in it. There's more divinity. So you get to the same thing, but you can do things without permission, because a lot of my work is interesting. I can't do things like remove people's depression without their permission because it's their stuff. However, the AI is an invasion, and that's helping someone who's being mugged on the street. Stepping up and helping someone who's under attack, you're allowed to do, but you're not allowed to just go there and take things. It's a nuance, but that's the way to do it. Now we can do things on the AI. And I was thinking last night as I went to bed, holy smokes, if we could remove the AI from some really nasty players, what would happen? And would Fauci and all these, really nasty players behave in a different way? Because I think they're completely overrun with demonic entities.
Well, I don't think any of the main players are actually the real people anymore. But yeah,
masks and all that jazz.
Yeah, I don't think any of them. I think Fauci's gone a long time ago. Same with Gates, and the same with all of them. We're just watching a film. But yeah, absolutely. So how would you do it?
Don't know. I just
say that on YouTube. You keep it secret so you can just go and do it, or train an army.
I have a school. I need more students. Come. This is the call to arms, everyone who's watching. We need more students because we can actually do this, and it is, we need an army of angels. That's where we're heading to, and our systems are very different. And it is interesting not having the chakras and meridians and all of that, and getting to the stage we can now slay demons. And you know what? According to the Quran, I've got some students who grew up in Saudi. According to the Quran, for every human born, there's a demon born. Which makes it, I think it was 16 billion. I did look it up a while ago. There's a shit ton of them, compared to what, nearly 8 million humans. So it's double. So there's a lot to do, and we can now slay them, and it's really interesting. Sometimes I'm seeing, oh, there's my website. There it is. Sometimes I'm
assuming people can do this online with you.
Yeah, everything's on Zoom.
Cool.
Everything's on Zoom. Yeah. So we need to start slaying all these demons because they are causing all these problems in the world. But you don't have to chatter in your head, and your wellness just increases exponentially. You just feel better, and you're more authentically you. And being able to, in level 1, you learn how to do solo trauma events. So something terrible happened to you, someone died, or something awful happened to you years ago, which you're fixated on, that gets gone. You learn how to do that in level 1, which is super easy. And then when we get further and more advanced, as I said, we're getting into multidimensional beings and demons and AI and, really far down the rabbit hole. But it seems to be working, and it's miraculous and just blimmin' amazing and so fun and rewarding.
Yeah, I think I want to do this.
Come on, come and do it.
I mean, I'm currently going through. I'm going through this. Before we came online, I just was telling Amanda I just dragged myself out of bed to do this chat because I'm going through this healing crisis. What you described about being on your hands and knees, I've just been doing for the last 24 hours, which is why I'm a little bit muted today. But and that in a similar way, I released something yesterday that felt like it was really clinging in. It's been clinging there for a long time, and it's a very emotional thing because the physical dis-ease is, you know, a physical manifestation of the energetic stuff that's been going on with you, right? And
I'm happy to do a little session with you when we finish the camera if you want. You know, I can clear all these things dead easily.
oh, cool. Well, I'm definitely doing that. I'm going to call this interview to an end now, so I can. No, I'm joking. He's still going to send to you, but thank God for that. Yeah, so you know, you got students from all over the world, and are you are they? Do you have 100% success rate, and people are going out and starting to heal up people themselves? Because this is how we have the ripple effects, right?
Do you know what? I think there's a lot of sabotage. There's for some reason when you're going, okay, when you don't have a disease anymore, you bloody forget about it. If you had a cold last week, you forget about it. So actually people don't talk about it. So the emotional stuff is the only caveat. So basically how it works is they have to open Pandora's box and think about it. So you think about your mum passing and you need to feel that grief. You need to feel that sadness, whatever it is for the person. And they need to open that up and that to be available in their energy field. They need to think about it and feel it. If they can feel it, we can heal it 100% of the time. It's exceptionally rare that they can't connect to it, because why would they have come to see me in the first place? But if they can feel it, we can heal it every single time. There's never any chance of it not working. The more physical stuff is, I've got good success rates, but it's much harder to do basically. But I'm hoping that the new stuff, this AI stuff, is actually, because I'm looking for the linchpin. If you've got that one thing and they pull that out, then I'm hoping that everything will go, and then I'm hoping that we'll all go very then everything will be able to do. I think I'm hoping level 9 is about solo diseases and actually removing all the AI for a solo disease. And I'm hoping level 10 is all the AI in one blast. And if we get that, then we're doing bloody well.
Yeah. So you're going to be you do this on an individual basis, but is there a way that we can take the head of the snake out? And do you think the head of the snake is still there? Because I'm feeling very different in the last few weeks compared to last year. In terms of like the energy is very different. It feels like. I was
looking at yesterday, you know, this whole David Bowie Omicron, the Nomad, that game.
Yeah.
So they mentioned, so I was looking into that yesterday, and they mention a demon in it who's also in Bedknobs and Broomsticks. I can't remember. I can look it up, but I can't remember the name off the top of my head. But it's in the title thing of Bedknobs and Broomsticks. And I was like, I wonder if this is real. And so I started to see if I could slay him yesterday. So it's my instruction is to slay. And it was there. There's something there that needs to be done. And I was like, right. So we started writing a list of demons about who we know about, who Anchor or something like that. I can look it up, but yeah, I want to slay all these demons and see what the hell happens. If you get to the top, I'm always looking. My motto is work smarter, not harder. I'm always looking. If you can get to that bloody bastard at the top or get to the AI, then everything else falls away. It's literally like a house of cards. You pull that one button out, and everything will fall away. And I think diseases will do that. So there's the one-to-one. I mean, ultimately, what I want to do, I mean, I have lofty ideas. My lofty idea about what I want to be doing is, I think every disease has got a demon in it or some sort of thing in it. And if you can slay the cancer demon, then everyone's cancer might drop away. You know, that would be really, really cool. I'm not there yet, but that's my loftiness.
It's a great idea. I mean, when it comes to cancer, I think the majority of cancer cases, this is contentious, are misdiagnosed so that they can give you the chemo and then have you on their drugs. This happened to my mum. She and what you're saying about people being ill and then forgetting that they got healed. The same again with my mum. She had arthritis last year, and I gave her CLO2, which and she took it for 3 or 4 days, and her arthritis was gone. It's been gone for a year. Then it came back slightly, and I said, we'll get the stuff out of the cupboard. She went, what stuff? I said, don't you remember last year you were in agony? Oh yeah, I forgot about that. And I'm like, oh. And this is the issue when you've got physical stuff, because as soon as the pain goes, we forget about it and we get on with our life.
It's honestly, it's one of the real annoying things. So I mean, I had somebody with psoriasis, and he had psoriasis for 25 years, and his psoriasis actually stemmed from an emotional trauma where his friends turned on him and beat the crap out of him, and he was hospitalized, and a girl he liked saw that happen. So I managed to figure that out, pulled that trauma out of him. His psoriasis cleared up in 5 to 7 days. It was completely gone, had it forever. I got one referral. And you'd think that psoriasis, he was covered in it, you know, head to toe, so much excruciating pain. And his girlfriend came to see me after that. And you'd think, why are not all the colleagues at work and all of his friends coming to me for a variety of issues? They've seen his skin completely transform in a couple of days.
No, and my friend who was in that Doctor Who play, he had psoriasis, and God, the treatments he went to, I couldn't believe the level of treatments and the cost that he was going through, and he just was never getting to, I told him years ago, he's not getting to the core issue. The core issue is it's emotional. Your dad left when you were 3 years old. That's probably what it was, you know, and it's so obvious, really, when you think about it. But
yeah, no, I had another psoriasis which I did really quickly, and he was at a garage, and his uncle was there who was a bit mentally slow and, you know, had issues. And he was inflating a tire, and he overinflated it and didn't realize you have to get to the PSI and that whole thing. And it kept on growing and growing and growing, and it exploded and it killed him. And that was the trauma that caused his psoriasis. So we cleared that from his system, and his psoriasis was gone within a couple of days again.
What a bizarre death.
Strange.
So cause of death, tire exploded. Weird. Are you so you're extremely on top of things by the sounds of it. You're obviously optimistic about the future for the human race. Where do you think we're going?
We're becoming gods, clearly.
Yeah.
I think flying is going to be normal. I think we're going to become superheroes and gods imminently, and I'm, you know, leading the way with that, hopefully. You know, I think superheroes are normally. What?
You need to talk to my daughter, because I've been saying this to her for ages. I said, look, we've got 12 strands of DNA. Most of them are missing. Once they get put back in place, flying, levitation, telekinesis, she's like, that'd be rubbish. Well, I don't want to know what people, she likes it here. She's really, really attached to her phone, to Weetabix instead of decent food. And I'm trying to wean her all off it. But it's very hard for people to imagine this, isn't it? Although for me, it's already happening. I've not been flying yet. I dreamt of flying.
I want to fly.
Well,
my mum used to make towels levitate when she was a kid.
Really?
Yeah. As a kid, like Matilda style. But she's really sort of blocked with the healing stuff now, which I mean, what? She was like 4 years old, and she was sitting in the bathroom, and then the towels just went, you know, up from where they were.
Wow.
I know. I want that skill. I haven't got it. It's annoying. Constantly not being able to do telekinesis is annoying. But there's an interesting guy that I was working with a while ago called Michael Monk, who's really, really good at telekinesis, pyrokinesis, which is with fire, various different things. He can put his fingers in water and make it ripple around him. He can make fire dance. He can do those, is it Venetian blinds, the ones which go down like that? I think they're Venetian. He can go like this with the Venetian blinds, and they dance for him. But he has to do it in this really, he does it in a convoluted way. So I think that we've got blockages preventing us from doing things. He learns it by repetition, and I find that annoying. So I think, as I said, we're all gods and goddesses, and my job is to basically just talk to people. And as I'm talking, this energy work happens in the background, and I remove blockages preventing people from doing things, which is their birthright and is normal. So they can do it first time every time. There's no learning curve to it. You just, off you go, now you can do that, go and do it, and it works. He does it in the traditional way of repetition, and practice makes perfect. And I just can't bring myself to do that, because it's just too convoluted to do it. But he's amazing at all those things. He's a very interesting chap in America.
He sounds really interesting, yeah.
He made, actually, I've got an Egley wheel, which is for telekinesis. It's basically a pivot with an aluminium disc on it. And he made my Egley wheel that he is in... and was in Louisville. He's somewhere in America, and he made my Egley wheel through Skype. Spin around one way, stop, spin around the other way. Yeah, he's good.
Yeah, he's really good. Yeah,
he's really good.
Well, what you're saying about the gods and goddesses thing is, I'm thinking of Dolores Cannon, and I'm thinking of what Alex Collier said. So Alex Collier firstly says that we're made up of 22 different species of ET, and that they're all here helping us now through this ascension because they see us as royalty. They see us as genetic royalty, and we're just not aware of what we've got. So that ties in very much with what he says. But what about the people at the moment on the planet that are what Dolores Cannon would call background characters.
I know. I find that so strange. I was thinking about that the other day. I've got some of her books, and it came up. I don't know. Do you think that's real? Do you think that they are just not really?
You know, I drive through town, and there's a guy, and I swear to God, he's always walking the same piece of road. It doesn't matter what time of day I go out, he's walking up and down the same piece of road. And I say to my son, I said, he must be a background character, because he can't do that all day. Why is he doing it? It doesn't make any sense. It is like, and then you look at a film like the recent film, well, I can't remember what it's called now, with Ryan Reynolds. It was out just before Christmas. It was about a computer game, and he was a computer.
I love that game. Yeah, that was amazing.
He was a character in it. He was a background character who discovered his consciousness, and the creators of the game, one of them fell in love with him and all of that. And it was very Truman Show and Prisoner and everything else, using the same themes. But you know, I don't think there's any accident. Movies are fascinating to me because they are literally either telling us stuff or predicting things or reflecting. You know, they're doing all of these jobs at the same time.
Or are they manifesting things? Are they actually causing that because of the group thought? If you actually, like, thoughts manifest. So if you watch them, you know, people watching that movie actually means things happen. And then all the satanic rituals, which they do within something like the Olympic ceremony, which is stuff that I go and break down. I go and walk into the fire there and like, right, all you bloody demons, you can nap off. So I go, you know, I do a lot of like Super Bowl shows and Olympic ceremonies and stuff, because that is actually trying to manifest a particular
100%. And it doesn't have to be a literal thing. Like the London Olympic ceremony of 2012 was a literal. They were literally telling us exactly. They even had Boris in that puppet show thing that they did with the giant demon and the kids in the
beds. And, yeah.
I mean, I'm saying this for people watching. It's just frequency, right? So I remember I was in London about 8 or 9 years ago, and I looked up and I saw this very familiar symbol, and I was like, that's how they're doing it. You can't go 5 yards in London without seeing this symbol, right? Which is Saturn, and it's beaming a frequency into our heads. We're the creators, and we're creating the world. That's again back to the architecture and everything else, because the symbols, and that's why Q said symbolism will be their downfall, because they can't not use the symbols, because the symbols carry the frequency that then go into us as the creators, and then we're creating the world the way that they want it, because they're the ones programming the frequency, because we're not even aware of it.
But it's lower level magic. It's sigils. So there's two different types of magic, which is this is ancient mystery schools, and not many people know this, but it's really cool. Two different types of magic. There's lower level magic and high level magic. Now, this is not like a judgment. It's just what it's called. Ancient mystery schools term, nothing to do with me. Lower level magic is most of the things that people are familiar with, but it requires an intermediary to do a job. So allopathic or Western medicine, you're using a pill to do it. If you're using anything Wicca, you're using a spell, you're using a potion, you're using a ceremony, you're even Reiki, or most people are using symbols, although some people aren't. You're using something to channel what it is that you're looking for. That is lower level magic, and it will never be as good as higher level magic, because higher level magic is awakening your God self, and you do it by intention. All the stuff that I teach is high level magic. There is no process. Once I've removed the blockage preventing you from doing it, you intend to do it, and it works instantaneously, first time, every time. But you have to have a particular, you have to have awoken your energy system. And I've got a particularly strange energy system, which has allowed me to do that. And I'm, pushing these things through. Also, I got told by a Akashic record guy called Bill Foss, who I saw. He's quite famous. He's written 5 or so books, and I saw him on Gaia.tv, like interviewed by someone years ago. Anyway, I saw him, and he did his Akashic records for me. And then a couple of days later, he said, there was something missing. Do you mind if we have another chat? I'm not going to charge you for it. I just want to tell you something. There's something really cool about your system. And I was like, sure. And he said, right, you're something different. And I said, what? And he said, you've incarnated from 200 years in the blooming future to bring this work through. So you're actually from the future. And I was like, that totally makes sense, my personality. It totally makes sense in the way I think. I think it's normal to do instant healing of every disease. I think levitation is normal. I think all these abilities, I'm constantly surprised I can't do things, which I just assume are normal. And I'm from the future, bringing this new work through on some sort of mission. I feel a bit like the Terminator.
Yeah. No, I've got that thing again, and I've been told that about myself.
Oh,
And when
cool.
I was telling Alex about the spaceship, he said, "Did you ever think that that was you from the future, just reminding you?" And I was like, "Oh." And he called me the brother from another mother before we did our call, and I was like, and there's all these little coincidences because that's how this works. You just get shown what you need to see at the time you need to see it, or the time you need to know it. So his job was to tell you that at that time, so that you could go put two and two together. Because when I came into this world, all I could dream about was flying and the stars, and I was a pot-bellied council house kid in Northampton and became a pilot. It was my first job. And I look out at the stars every single night. I always have. And I never felt part of this place ever. And it's also kind of making sense, isn't it? The video pause there. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I've got you back.
Yeah, I finished speaking, but you might not have heard it. I don't know.
I didn't know. You said something about seeing the stars, and then I lost you.
Oh yeah, I'm just saying it's all kind of making sense to a lot of people. They're piecing. I mean, I've been calling this spiritual quarantine for about a year now, because what it's allowed people to do is see everybody for who they really are, including themselves, to go inside and then to start delving into these things. And all these mystical things, like I keep talking about this tingle. This has just got stronger and stronger and stronger as time's gone by, and then I'm trusting it more and more and more. And then the more you trust that, it opens the doorway to something else, and then something else, and then something else. Like this diet that I'm doing at the moment is opening up all sorts of things. It's just amazing, and we've got 400 people doing it with us, and it's like that's amazing. And that has a ripple effect because they're having that conversation in their family at meal times, and this is where it gets really, really interesting on and timescales become I think are fascinating. You said earlier that you think this is all crumbling right now. I think people are really, really like obsessed with when's it going to end and how's it going to end, but actually you just got to let it go, and then it comes to you quicker.
You can't bother, do what you can and then don't worry about the rest of it, and
Move
I'm
to
actively
live your life. Move to Nuki, live your life.
I am. But I'm doing that a lot for, I just love the sea, but I'm doing that a lot for integration because I still have integration problems. I'm still do lally quite often, and exhausted. So I can't, move around, and I just want to go surfing every day and just go and heal people and, and just teach online and just have some fun. Also, it's where Merlin's from and I'm a wizard. And so people are more into magic down there. And that's literally what I do. I sound like a complete lunatic in London to a lot of people, by saying I'm a wizard. But whereas down there, they're like, oh my God, are you? And they get really excited about it. So I only went there because of lockdown. I keep on going to the beach and going, I want to move here. And then I thought about Ibiza, but it's just too druggy and a bit too up and down emotionally for people. It's like the best. I've had the best and the worst times of my life there. Cape Town, I love, but it's pretty dangerous. And I've had friends leave there because of, people being killed. So, I was looking for the right place and I had no idea England had such a nice coastline. I just didn't know. And I went there and I was there a couple of days. And I'm like, right, I'm moving. And I'm buying a beach house, which is incredible. It's got a view of the sea. I used to live there in a past life. It was the weirdest thing. So I think I've done past lives, future lives. I've been all over the place. So I looked at pictures of this house and my eyes started, filling with water. And then my eyes started leaking and I was like, what the hell is this? And I was like, it was emotional. I was like, is this a good emotion or a bad emotion? What emotion is this? And I didn't really know. And I sort of put it down and picked it up again. And then and every time I looked at these pictures, it was just super emotional. So I consulted a psychic and I said, what the hell? And she said, oh, you lived there in a past life. It was a bit of a shitty life. Your daughter was murdered, your house burnt down, and then you killed yourself. But that was the life that got you to decide that you wanted to learn how to heal traumas because you were so traumatized. That's what got you. So you're going full circle back to the beginning of it. And I went there and it was really interesting. So according to Chinese medicine, each one of your major organs has a 2-hour processing time. And it also relates to a different emotion. So you've got your... And now I try to remember it. Your 1 to 3 is your liver, and then 3 to 5 is your lungs, and then 5 to 7 is your large intestine. I think it's that way around. But basically, the emotions associated. So your liver is going to be to do with fear. Your lungs are to do with grief, and your large intestine is about holding on to stuff, not letting it go. So I went to this house to visit it on this viewing. And the next day I kept on waking up at these particular times. And I thought, on the dot of 1, on the dot of 3, and the dot of 5. And I thought, oh, it's just because I'm excited because I'm on holiday, but it happened every night. And when I got back to London, it was still happening. And I went, holy moly, I've picked up those emotions from visiting that house. So as soon as I cleared these emotions in myself, and then I was sleeping through the night once again. It was absolutely fascinating. It came out of nowhere.
Well, yeah. Have you got anything practical to tell the viewers about how to clear emotions themselves? If there's, you know, what simple things can people do to just keep on top of themselves? Because I know a lot of people are suffering emotionally right now.
Cultivating light is basically what needs to be done in whatever capacity they can do. I mean, obviously, if you want to go to, you know, do it really simply, then obviously come and do a course. But if that's not what you want to be doing, you need to be doing anything which cultivates light. So anything which is, so darkness we'll talk about first. Watching anything like these horrors that people watch in these murder, like all these things on Netflix about murder, like cases of murder and stuff like that. Avoid.
My daughter's obsessed with them, and this is
terrible for you. It's interesting. This article that I wrote. So I wrote this article. So I'm working with the PR. I wrote this article about what to do, like how to be healthy during lockdown, and we submitted it to. I write a lot for newspapers. And we submitted it to everyone, and my PR was absolutely horrified that they didn't take it anywhere. I ended up in Chat It's Fake, who quite like me. Anyway, but anything which is cultivating light. So avoid watching things which make you stressed, including the news, and avoid misbehaving. I mean, it's literally sinning. Like, don't do things which don't make you feel proud of your behavior. Don't steal, don't cheat, don't lie, don't do all of those things, because the more of those negative things that you do or negative thoughts you have, the more of this AI is getting inside of you. So just don't be a dick to yourself and to other people intrinsically. So if you want, don't be a dick. So that's why it's getting in you and how it's getting in you. And the opposite is how to cultivate light. So you want more light in you, because enlightenment literally means having more light, which is less darkness. So the more of this stuff you remove from you, the more light you have, because it's almost like there are pathways which can be filled by the bad, or they can be filled by the good. So what you want to be doing is things that follow your, it sounds so new age, but follow your bliss. Honestly, anything that makes you feel happy and joyful, and, you know, ring a friend, have a laugh, go and do things which are fun for you. Go and do meditation and yoga. They fill your system with light. Go and play in the park. Go and get a dog, run around, anything which brings you
Don't
joy.
say that. Don't say that. My kids are nagging me to get a dog, and I'm like, I'm not getting a dog until this is over.
Yeah, I wouldn't do it. I haven't got a dog. I don't want the responsibility of having to look after them.
I've got 5 kids. I can't have a dog.
See, if I had kids, I'd have a dog, because I think your life's over anyway by then.
Yeah, you're right. It's a good point. I still pretend that it's not.
Yeah, I mean, I can just disappear for days and just do whatever I want. But anything that cultivates light, but that can be watching a comedy, that can be just ringing your mate, it can be having a couple of drinks or something, anything which is fun and joyful. Take up a hobby, something as simple as pottery, or anything which makes you feel, anything sort of wholesome that makes you feel good about yourself, or a sense of accomplishment, anything like that. Doing anything which brings you joy will bring more light into your system. So, and also, you know, just have a little bit of discipline, emotional discipline and spiritual discipline. If you start getting obsessive about some nonsense, fanatical about something, change the record in your head. And something as simple as doing 10 or 50 bloody star jumps, something like that, gets you out of it. You can have a list of things that help you if you have a sort of an OCD moment, or, you know, anything which is helping you, just change it. Eat good food. Stay away from processed, ruddy food. That's terrible for you. You know, cook for yourself, and, you know, go into nature, just potter around the garden barefoot, that sort of stuff. Anything which is cultivating light, and anything that brings you joy. Go and exercise, that sort of stuff. Get your body moving. It's all very basic stuff, but that will cultivate light and make you feel happier.
And that's how we change the world. Great advice. So I'm on your website. Where do people get your where do they go to get your classes?
Bookings. So healing classes there under bookings. So healing classes there. I also do one-to-one sessions. I've also got loads of practitioners who will work. So There was one which was due to be tomorrow, but we've cancelled it now because I had marketing issues. So the next one is going to be on, where is it? Yeah. When's the next one? I forget. It's March the 5th for level 1. And I'm doing it in one day. So it doesn't take that long anymore to be able to do these things. And you learn how to do meditation hacks. You learn how to drop into stillness instantly, energetic hooks, which are similar to an evil eye. You learn how to clear traumas and phobias. You learn energetic pharmaceuticals, which are quite good, like removing pain, or just, it's like an energetic aspirin. Or if you're too hot, run hot. If you're too cold, run cold. You can do, the emotional traumas is really the important one, and also changing the taste of wine using energy, which is just a really cool party trick, which you can teach to other people, which makes the metaphysical into the physical, which just sort of is really amazing. I love doing that. And I like teaching it to 2 different people, and they do one and they do one, and I step away, because if I do it, everybody thinks that I'm tricking them on, some sort of hypnosis. And I said, well, if I could do that, I'd have your bank card by now and I'd gone and robbed you. I can't. But yeah, if they do it and it tastes different, you have a control glass. That's really, really fun introduction into this healing stuff.
So the next one's in 49 days.
49 days, 19 hours and 54 minutes.
That's a long time.
It's supposed to be tomorrow, but we didn't. Yeah, we had some marketing kerfuffle, so that didn't happen. So yeah, it's in 49 days.
I think I'm going to go and book that, and we've done an hour, and I really appreciate you coming on today, Antonia. Sorry that it took 3 attempts to get to this.
Problem.
And sorry a bit. Yeah. Well, it is what it is. But yeah, it's been a pleasure talking to you. I'm going to hang up with you now and go and have a session with you. So thanks for watching, everybody. Thanks, Antonia.
Bye, everyone. Thank you.
Bye-bye.